Hey there, this is the Toy Archaeologist. Yeah, I know that's quite a mouthful, but that's the name I'm going for right now. So, points of articulation. This is a big deal for toy collectors because many collectors they tend to go for specific toy lines based on how many movable parts, how many points of articulation the figures have. Archaeologists are finding wooden figurines with movable parts, so it's clear that this is not something modern. The idea that kids want to move the limbs of their toys, this is not new. So it's clear that there's something in us that wants our toys to be able to move somewhat like humans or living creatures. I am myself maybe a bit guilty of this. If you ask me what I prefer about my two favorite toy lines, Hot Toys and G.I. Joe, I would probably say the amount of movable parts. For instance, if you compare a G.I. Joe figure to, let's say, a Star Wars figure, G.I. Joe has a lot more movable parts. But that's a bit unfair, because if you only went for high amounts of articulation, you would probably end up collecting nothing but Marvel Legends and Hot Toys. And you would miss out on a great deal of cool toy lines. And today we're going to look at a few of them, with main focus on the very obscure toy line Combat Commandos, made by Panosh Place in 1987. Mostly known for making the Voltron figures, or actually not that known at all unless you're a hardcore enthusiast. But you know, collectors usually remember having one or two of these little guys, the Combat Commandos. So this here is the Combat Commandos. They have, as you can see, they're pretty rough, both in paint and sculpt. Not a lot of details on these guys, and lots of reuse with the mold. As you see, these two guys are identical. They have just painted them differently. Quite crude as far as action figures go, and they have amazingly enough half as much points of articulation as battle beasts. Let's see if we can zoom in on him here, which features 2 points of articulation. But you know, there's something about these guys I just find fascinating, because these days vinyl figures with 0 points of articulation is very popular. People collect these blind packed vinyl figures from Kid Robot, for instance, and these are somewhat similar to those figures. And you know, there are toy lines with 0 points of articulation as well, like these wrestling superstars made by LJN. This figure is from 1985. So metal joints and raw rubber, so they're kind of flexible, like these bendy flexi figures. They have a purpose. These were really popular, at least in the United States. As a kid, I had these two guys. They came in 2-packs, so they were sold in 2-packs, and I suspect they were packed entirely randomly. So you could, for instance, get hazmat suit guy here with red mullet guy here, but you could also get hazmat suit guy with sunglasses and bazooka guy. There's not a lot of plot line in to be found here. You had to create your own, but I guess there's some plot to be found. Like, this guy looks to be like a general with a star on his helmet, while this guy certainly looks to be somewhat of a heroic figure. And if there's a villain, I think it's this guy. Look at his face. He's up to no good. He's crawling through the grass, looking to snipe off the hero. I think I still prefer toys with enough articulation to be able to pose them and play with them, make the action scenes a bit more varied. But still, I have a soft spot for these, both the wrestling dudes and these Combat Commandos. I'm interested to hear what you think about toys with few points of articulation. Like Star Wars figures, for instance. Do you mind that they only have 5 points of articulation? Are there any toy lines with less points of articulation than Star Wars figures you're into? Write in the comments. So this has been the Toy Archaeologist about points of articulation. I will see you next time.